Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening in the rain. We're really grateful that you all can make it. And thank you to Alex and Allyson Grey for being here. They just arrived into beautiful Miami. So, yes, my name is Erin Weston, and I'm the new director of the program and the study of spirituality. This event is our second installment of the program's Dianne Collins and Alan K. Collins Distinguished Speaker Series. And I want to acknowledge them and say thank you so much for their support to our program. I also want to thank Ray Oraka and the Moksha Family Arts Collective who co-sponsored this event. Yay! So in addition to this lecture tonight, Alex and Allyson Grey will be showing original works and prints of their art in the 10th Annual Moksha Art Fair and Theosis at Delinquent Designs Gallery. They will be participating in a panel discussion tomorrow night, and then you'll have the opportunity to watch them live painting on Saturday night at the Moksha Art Fair main event celebration. All of these events are located at Delinquent Designs Gallery at 122 Northwest 25th Street, Miami. And if you don't know where that is, you can just look up Moksha Arts Fair 2015 and Theosis on Facebook, and you'll find more information. Additionally, I want to thank our executive committee and our staff. There's a lot of people who came and worked very hard to put this event together, as well as the Grey's staff. They've been very helpful. So the program in the study of spirituality is a self-funded initiative of the Stephen J. Green School of International and Public Affairs. It explores spirituality in a variety of traditional and contemporary contexts. We offer spirituality-centered curricula for students. We sustain research projects, and we also host many events and lectures by practitioners and scholars in order to stimulate multi-faith, multi-spiritual dialogue throughout the community. The program in the study of spirituality is a very special and unique part of FIU. University is not only a place of higher learning, but it's also a place of vision. The type of vision that a university espouses is fundamental to the type of society that we create. The visionaries and leaders of the Green School and the university recognize that in order to understand how we can create a just, peaceful, and prosperous world, we must ensure that we are creating the space for heart-centered and spiritually responsible teachings. As expressed by the philosopher Aristotle, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. I believe that a truly well-rounded education requires balance between the heart and the mind, and includes exploration of one's own inner self and higher wisdom. We may have information and even knowledge, but without a spiritual core, we will lack true wisdom. It is with this awareness and intention that the program for the study of spirituality came into existence. I hope that our mission speaks to you and you would like to support our program to ensure its sustainability. We should have flyers around. We also have a certificate for undergraduate students. So if you're a student at FIU, you can email me, pick up one of these flyers, and you can study spirituality. We're one of the only schools in the world that has this kind of program. And I believe that we were the first. So you can find us at the web at spirituality.fiu.edu. Okay, so tonight we are very grateful to have Alex and Allyson Grey here. We're super excited. So both Alex and Allyson are very accomplished artists, but they're really more than that. They're also leaders. Their artistic and spiritual vision is a much-needed light that has provided validation, direction, and inspiration for people all around the world. The relationship between art and religion is rich and long-standing one. Artists have sought to express ideas and experiences that are largely ineffable. I would argue that the mystical experience is really at the heart of religion. And the various art forms are one of the ways that we can have access into those religious experiences. So while literature, poetry, performance, and music are very important, I find the visual arts to be an especially powerful vehicle for accessing these experiences. As a religious studies professor, I will say that I often have used Alex's art to illustrate ideas, concepts when I was teaching. So thank you. Very helpful. I want to say that visionary art shows us many of the things that we cannot normally see, but it also helps us to envision new future possibilities. It can show us what kind of world we can create. So tonight, Alex and Allyson will be discussing psychedelic culture and exploring the relationship between entheogens, art, religion, culture, and spirituality. So welcome, Alex and Allyson Grey.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Alana, thank you so much.
I wanted to, we're so honored to be invited to be part of the intellectual discussion, the intelligent discussion of spirituality that has sprung forth from this university. This is amazing, and we really, most of you know that Alex and I have been together for a lot of years. Actually, tomorrow is our wedding anniversary. December 4th, 1977, we got married. But we really, our first wedding, most people who are married have two anniversaries anyway, and the first anniversary was 2 years before that, and then we got married, appropriately, and with the clergy.
In the eyes of the law.
Yeah. But that was December 4th, and we spend almost every December 4th in Miami because that's when Art Basel happens. So we love coming here for our anniversary. It's absolutely fabulous. I was going to say that, early on, Alex's art captivated people in that related to it on the level of their inner experience, okay? And a spiritual experience. And the spiritual experience, and people would say, what inspired your work, Alex? And so in 1970s, when we were first together and you were already, showing your work to people, you had to make the choice of whether you could mention, your real inspiration, which was, you were always an artist, but LSD and your opening to psychedelics was your opening to spirituality, because before that you were an atheist, and maybe I would say an existentialist, Existentialism was your friend. But
not my friend.
Not your friend.
But was my viewpoint. Yeah.
So that became a conversation that people really wanted to have. So it turned out. And a lot of people, associate Alex's art with that. Although, there are many pieces that Alex has had visions of completely on the natch. And he'll tell you those too. But, sometimes not. So I think that it joins into the mix of the conversation of where visions come from. And this talk is on, I'm right in the way. Maybe I should move over to the other side. I'm right in the middle of the screen here. Can everybody see?
People can see above your head,
okay.
really, actually, in your beautiful centerpiece. You're the center of my life. And she, just to cut to the chase, she inspired the sacred mirrors and named the sacred mirrors. And our chapel that we co-founded is called the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. So as a concept, it's like a koan, a sacred mirror. Just roll that around and let it melt, in your mind. And, what would the world be if it were a sacred mirror? And whose eye would you be seeing through? And so, unfortunately, I think we're going to have a slightly compromised slide
stretched
show.
out. We haven't been able to figure
if
out.
you adjust your own aspect ratio in your mind,
gonna be weird,
to imagine that this watermelon is actually a circle, then you'll know, what is going on. But we're in an altered state.
Did we bring a tondo, Alex? Did we bring a tondo to exhibit here? Might be in the exhibition.
Might be, yeah.
There's one at Scope, so you can see the actual
at our Moksha art fair
in spherical form.
Yeah, we've got a little tondo.
Well, I wanted to say, as long as we're bringing up the thing about the Moksha exhibit, I have my newest work in the show. It's called Realms of the Unpronounceable. Guess who named it? No, we share a studio for 40 years. We talk about each other's work all the time, and a lot of times you name my work.
Yeah,
much
we're deeply entangled, and believe that we're actually working for the third force.
That's right.
That's operating through us. Now, is it possible to lower the lights? So, is that what's going on there?
Nice.
At least it'll make it a little easier for. I can't do you guys, but there you go. Okay. So, now, off to a journey. Here's an alternative history that a story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden was the psychedelic smackdown of, no, you're not going to eat that stuff that'll make you be like gods. We're going to do that, and we're going to tell you about it. It kind of was a power thing.
But you can see that there's lots of, cannabis around the bottom.
Oh, yeah, this is the kind of...
There's a little bit of eating of the apple.
This is the kind of like going back and back into a kind of a dawn human idea of an Adam and Eve. There had to be some kind of... beginning. We know that there was an Eve. And so the Kundalini kind of DNA-like serpent there is calling humanity towards its higher evolution. And the Kundalini serpent is one, coiled at the base of the spine. And basically, it's the principle of the evolution of consciousness. So in some cultures, the serpent is a serpent of wisdom, not a serpent who's evil. So at any rate, the dawn humans were exploring their flora and fauna, and like Terence McKenna suggested, they most certainly would have encountered the psilocybin mushroom. And a variety of mushrooms.
Who here? No, we can say there's some people here don't know who Terence McKenna is. Is there anybody who doesn't know who Terence? There's mostly they do. Our cameraman doesn't know who Terence McKenna is. Well,
no, there's no one who doesn't know who Terence McKenna is.
Well, he had the stone monkey. The stone monkey. He believed that the use of these of altered states of consciousness, these expanded awareness. Substances would catalyze, primates to a new evolutionary realm, and also just the whole concept of God and human, the separation between God and human, God being somehow outside of oneself.
Right, exactly. And yes, the language aspect. Terence was always talking about the voice inside of the head and the voice that you hear. And so in his honor, I made a hyperdimensional elf whispering sweet everythings into the ear of the dawn human, who's then, spouting out language that no one understands yet.
He looks like a primate elf, though. Looks like a primate.
Yeah, this is kind of like the early, but, they're not now saying that, oh, it was Cro-Magnons that invented art. Now they're finding artifacts that are like 75,000 years old and things, and like are they're wondering whether it was the Neanderthal and who started it, basically, who started the art thing. And so it's kind of unclear in some of the old caves in the 30,000 BC, but what we didn't see so much of in cave art, but are these very mysterious kinds of symbols that are like mandalas, or like any tripped out high school student would scrawl on their papers when they're tripping, actually. And there's something that resembles the when people have had a psychedelic experience, they understand that there's an onslaught of a visionary state, that there is an opening up to a kind of dimension that seems to be there all the time, but we're unaware of. And it is a visionary domain. It's symbols are floating by, or beings are coming at you. And it's so intensely visual. When you close your eyes, you're dreaming while you're projecting on your eyelids. So, and sometimes you're projecting out into the world, seeing things in the air, or the room is undulating and things, and or there's patterns or lights and things connecting people. And so all of those kind of very visual aspects, responsible anthropologists are now wondering, well, could that have been a stimulant in the beginning of art? That this alteration of consciousness may have driven people to this crazy idea of making pictures on the wall. And so it, there's a certain datedness to it, and there's a certain kind of thing that, the early spiritual people were the shamans, the people willing to take the substances to look into the other worlds and to start to work with the beings that they found there and to start working out alliances. This is Luis Tamani, one of the great sort of developments from the ayahuasca school of visionary art that's been coming out since Pablo Amaringo was an ayahuasca shaman down in Peru in the 60s. And started making
If you love
paintings.
visionary art, you will see Luis Tamani featured in our upcoming Cosm Journal of Visionary Culture, where the theme for the year, we have an annual, it's called the Cosm Journal, the theme is Divinity. So Luis Tamani figures it, and he's a featured artist. Yeah,
he's got offered some great, beautiful pieces. Well, this is one of the famous caves in Algeria, in Africa. It's kind of remote at this time. Outside, though, there are huge rocks that are cut away by the wind that look a lot like mushrooms. Strange. They have these kind of shafts coming up, and then great big rock things on top. It's phenomenal, strange landscape. And inside of the caves there, they're very famous caves for their completely bizarre, fantastic creatures. They have mushroom-headed characters carrying mushrooms, and there's a kind of a networky like thing. This you always see in DMT art, a lot of dotting. And and the Aboriginal, they're DMT, acacia, and they don't want to talk about it, I think. But this kind of crystalline thing showing up, that stuff is very psychedelic. Okay, well, let's spell it out a little more clearly. You got a mushroom, you got a guy touching it. He's got, like, now antlers, and whoa, now a mandala. It's a big mandala when you do this. So then you've got a bee-headed mushroom like, look at it. Looks like a mushroom in their forehead, but look at all of us. We're mushroom people. See, we got a stem and a cap. We're all like mushrooms, and so they were finding that. And look, Paul Stamets says where there's more in relationship to us to fungus because we bifurcated on the evolutionary tree 650 million years ago, and then plants differentiated from that fungus, see? So we're closer to the fungus than to the plants. And really that was the primordial intelligence, the neural net of the world, and that was the fungus. So it's ancient knowledge, divine intelligence. That's the way we weave it. So you'll get these bee insectoid characters and these gibbering little elves from, like thousands of years ago, like 12,000, 10,000 years ago. So here's 6,000 years ago. Let's see, you got a cattle. That means you probably have cattle poop. You got the mushroom growing, the cattle poop, perhaps, and the mushroom-headed people. Something happened. Yeah. So it's leaking out into the media that, there's been a psychedelic, sacramental prehistory to humanity that many people have assumed, but now we're finding the evidence of it. Now, Göbekli Tepe is one of the first temple grounds, known temple grounds, 13,000 years ago, I believe. And it was buried to save some of its architecture. Now, there's no one who's proven anything about mushrooms, and that might have nothing to do with anything. But I just saw these stones, and I don't know. They remind me of something. And then very near there, where's these things? I'm not sure. They remind me of something, too. So if we go to Peru, like 3,500 years ago, you'll find these characters that are so similar to Chris Dyer's characters. He's a Peruvian artist who's just done a recent mural here down in Wynwood, and we'll show one of his. But at any rate, this kind of cartoon kind of being here, there's a kind of a drawing that they're making. This is San Pedro. San Pedro has the mescaline in it. And so here are the beings, and like 3,500 years ago, inside of a temple kind of cavern in Peru, you have this 15-foot high kind of being, and you can just imagine with the torchlight coming in there and seeing these great beings. This is I think called the Lanzon, the great deity of that culture, of the Shavin. At any rate, they were clearly a psychedelic culture as well. And if we look at it, if we look at the Hindu scriptures, the earliest scriptures on earth of any civilization left was the Rig Veda, and 6,000 years ago or so. And so we have songs to Soma, and songs to Soma were this divine plant that inspired them to connect with the realm of the gods. And the realm of the gods, they're clearly tripping. I mean, look what's happening. It's like Brahman, the creator, is like getting the download from the cosmic intelligence, and he's totally cosmic floater being. And then there's the great gods that are connected with the geographic locations like Mount Kailash, and Shiva is identified with Mount Kailash. That's why they don't do circumambulations around Mount Everest. They don't do that. It's not considered the holy mountain that Mount Kailash is, which is a little smaller. But it's still a huge mountain, and the Ganges comes from it. So since it's the source of the Ganges, it's the ganja that goes around the Ganges that all of the Shaivite, the Babas that smoke the chillums, have done for thousands of years and come out to the largest festival, the largest spiritual gathering on earth. Millions of people come to it, the Kumbh Mela. So, and they know how to party. But with the spirit. And then they make trippy.
Well, I think that's a good point, though, Alex. I have to say that people mistake that when people are in ecstasy, dancing and singing and having a party, that they are not being spiritual. That's ridiculous. I think they are being. They are raising their kundalini, and they are aroused, and they're many times spiritually united. You feel a spiritual unity sometimes when you're in an ecstatic dance. Yeah. We all agree.
Yes. The group soul co-evolves and is one gigantic protoplasmic, ectoplasmic ecstasy bubble for a moment.
Meditation is only one side of that realm of ability to reach spirit.
Exactly. Well, these serene and amazing temples are throughout India, and so then going to
Sachet.
Yes.
Sachet was like a woman. They gave a woman the position of the sort of initiator of writing, secret writing. Secret writing was done by Sachet. She was the consort of Thoth, right? Yeah. Thoth was like the messenger. He was like wasn't he kind of like the Hermes sort of?
Yeah, Hermes Trismegistus Thoth. He was the great wizard of all times. Yeah. Occult.
But there's the 7-leafed cannabis.
That's right.
Over her head. Cannabis was very, very often used in medicines in Egypt. There's a lot of written material that shows their ailments were cured by cannabis.
And there's Sachet connecting with Thoth there. And I love that you could say that this goddess, Sachet or cannabis, who opened the doors of heaven, I believe, in one of the hieroglyphics and things, said...
the doors of heaven for you.
Yes.
That's what it said.
So, can we get more explicit that one may contact a wisdom flow through the...
higher vision.
Yeah. So, this was probably one of the earliest plants ever to be cultivated, cannabis. People liked it so much. It formed a bond with humanity. And so it may even be partially responsible for agriculture in general, for the foundations of that. Just as we were seeing psychedelics at the... See, this is the alternative history channel. This is maybe, people getting high. Hey, you want to make more of that stuff better? Yeah! Okay. And they're still doing that, right? So cultivation is really at its peak now, and it started thousands of years ago.
But I think because it's been cultivated for such a long time, it has been used for many things too. So hemp became and hemp oil, and hemp just became an extremely important agricultural product with many, many uses.
Oh, totally. And the Shinto used cannabis and hemp cultivation as part of their religious ceremonial thankfulness for the hemp there. This is like one of their ceremonial ropes. The Shinto is the way of the gods, and an expression of respect for the gods is to make a kami, or this kind of basically it looks like a big doobie, but it's not. It's a wrapped piece of hemp there. Really beautiful, amazing Shinto shrine. Did not mean to be disrespectful. I just love to see this old kind of cannabis information, ancient. And in the Christian tradition, you don't see so much of it, but occasionally these psychedelic, like, winks, kind of like, what's going on there? Well, could it be the green Jesus?
Well,
Perhaps.
the seven leaves, like the seven-sided shape, it represents the angelic. Because you have the head, you have the feet.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the picture where you have the head and the feet?
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah.
You have the head, you have the feet, you have the arms, and you have the wings.
The wings.
So that
exactly.
makes the seven-leafed thing be a representative of angels.
Exactly. Humans are 5.
That's humans are 5 pentacles.
And angels are 7.
Angels are 7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool. The green Jesus. That's what I think's happening now. You know, it's the sacramental uprising. And it's a time when the all the archetypal forces that uplift humanity will put on their robes of nature and be in concordance with the Pope and the Dalai Lama and the great spiritual leaders who say that this is the most important issue of our time, that at this time, and God bless them in Paris, and we need a way to see our way back to the greener world that we all want to create and we want to live in. And we have to go back to the roots of our own nation. And the original declaration, I guess, was written on hemp paper, as they say, and they were all practically mandated to grow it. And Washington and Madison and a number of the... It
wasn't practically mandated. It was actually mandated. They actually had laws where farmers had to allocate certain amounts of percentage of their acreage to growing hemp because it was so useful, not just because of the...
Yeah, they needed the
qualities.
rope. They needed all of the... It was the number one fuel oil in America, actually. The first fuel oil of America. So, which was replaced by whale oil. Is that sad? It's been downhill since then. Woo! The smell of freedom. Sorry, she's so stretched out there. Yes, we are thinking about this intelligent plant, and that has had a historic relationship with humanity of thousands of years. Let's see. Cannabis cures cancer, makes biodegradable plastic, could end deforestation, could end oil, coal, and gas dependence. No wonder it's illegal. And so we understand with all the science available today that cannabis is a medicine and it's a sacrament, yet it is also a criminal issue. Nevertheless, brave people have been trying to cultivate this plant and a ongoing friendship with this plant. And this happened, I don't know, 15 years ago or so.
This is a Cannabis Cup. Alex and I are fortunate enough to have judged 2 Cannabis Cups in Amsterdam. When it was illegal here, and nobody would, you couldn't have a trade show about it. But there were a lot of business people who would like to share their wares and discuss. And really, this is because High Times did that year after year. Cannabis got named. It got it became. It's the way it enters the marketplace. There are many ways that cannabis has been entering through medicine, certainly, but this was the marketplace.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Louis Armstrong, always a lifelong advocate, and medical is definitely here and is helping people. Well, it used to. It was part of the American pharmacopoeia for 87 years, prior to Congress getting a hard-on and against the AMA request. They had doctors in there begging them not to make cannabis illegal, but they did. And so... but this is the kind of thing that would have been available at the turn of the century, like during the late 19th and early 20th century. This cannabis medicines of all kinds were available. And sometimes you wonder if certain diseases actually get caused by the removal of this friendly plant from the human, because we have an internal cannabinoid receptor system, and it's all over our body. And we have internal, cannabinoids that are called anandamide and things like that, and they have to do with feeling good, feeling better about being alive. And that's important to some people sometimes.
Well, psychoneuroimmunology shows it's like you feel better, and you get better. It helps people to get better.
Exactly. So we see that the plant from basically the Ganges and things like that has distributed well throughout the planet. And that was the... whatever Soma was, which is the songs to Soma in the Rig Veda, whatever that was, and cannabis being part of that culture as well, that was the foundation of Eastern civilization in some ways. So you could look at the foundation of Western civilization in Greece, certainly, and who was the pinnacle of Greek wisdom, but Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, the school of Plato. And all those guys had done, they had gone through the ritual of the Eleusinian Mysteries. And the Eleusinian Mysteries, or the Mysteries of Eleusis, huge temple complex that the Athenians used to walk on the great path from Athens to this Eleusis, and they would all gather there for this multi-day ritual. And part of the height of this ritual was that they would take a psychedelic called the kykeon, and they would gain contact with the realm of the gods. And so just similar to the foundations of Eastern civilization, the foundations of Western civilization, you'd have to say were psychedelic. Where did Socrates get these archetypal dimensions and the Platonic solids, sacred geometries that they see spinning in their minds? Well, it could have been enhanced with the kykeon. And so, in fact, psychedelics were probably, even though they were not allowed to be talked about, and this is part of the bedeviling reason why no one can say exactly what the kykeon was, but they have conjectured many things because they have documents of people's, after experiences, what they described, and it's like dead on to people having had a psychedelic experience. So, and they were making stuff like this. I mean, what were they drinking out of that?
This is what they were drinking the kaikian out of. And you can actually find these in various museums. There's many of these wide bowls with the big eyes. This is the kaikian vessel.
Well, I can't be sure of that,
I think that.
But I would say that it might be. You know, the Kylix, the eye cups. Yeah. Oh, we got a little leakage here, a little psychedelic leakage into the Western tradition there. Teonanacatl was the name, the flesh of the gods, that throughout South America and Mexico, the Mayan codices are filled with this kind of description of these relationship with it. So, yeah, like here you have the Mayan codices. Eat the mushroom. There's the mushroom. Eat the mushroom. Demon come. You know, what have they got over here?
Behind him. It's like,
hi, want some mushrooms? We think they're very cool, and we dance a jig around them. We have been here for many thousands of years watching you. Look at, you know, in the mind, they're the mushroom in the mind. Or, hello, little mushroom cap guy. So,
mushroom in the mind.
I mean,
look at that.
Exactly. Let's put it in there so that we know exactly what's happening. I have mushrooms in my eyes. Oh, my God. And these are also, this is like ancient psychedelic art from Peru. Super awesome. So the West wouldn't perhaps know anything about psychedelic mushrooms if it weren't for this lady, Maria Sabina, who was basically asked by the mayor of her town to allow these scientists and anthropologist folks to visit her. She was a shaman up in the hills around Oaxaca, and there had been rumor, really spread by Schultes, Richard Evans Schultes, who worked at Harvard in the Botanical Museum and used to go up and down throughout Central and South America searching for psychedelic botanicals. And he had heard that there still was this undiscovered, mushroom, magic mushroom. And so Valentina Wasson was the wife of Gordon Wasson, and she was a mycophile, and he was a mycophobe. And she got him to love mushrooms, and finally to discover the psilocybin mushroom that was handed to him one day in 1955 by this amazing shaman lady, who the town later, because of every hippie in the world wanting to come and sample the wares and things like that, and never wanting to pay anything, and no one really organizing this kind of hate street in Mexico situation, she became not liked, as one might imagine in those situations, and so she suffered for her gift to the West.
But there was a line of people outside of her hut to have her heal them with this experience.
She would do healings. This had nothing to do with kind of tripping out or going and partying or anything like that. It was something you did overnight in the dark, and she sang her prayers into the space. And they were done usually for a specific purpose of healing, not unlike the Native American Church holds a peyote ritual on occasion when there's need by the community. And so she always wanted this to be totally sacred. She said yes to the photography. If it was never published, it came out in Life magazine 2 years later. So, stuff happened.
It was
we
a
love
sacrifice,
you, Maria.
But I think that it may actually have triggered a movement of eco-consciousness. Is really what we're
I
discovering.
think she was in the end willing to make this kind of sacrifice and gift to the world, and she deserves our love. Chocopili was the prince of flowers, the prince of psychedelic plants as well, which are shown on the statue of a figure who is clearly in the throes of ecstatic psychedelic mood there. Oh, the Shipibo. Most of us know about the Shipibo, who have these amazing patterned textiles and tattoos and everything, and they basically take the ayahuasca and then look at the patient and see the lines all over the patient, and if there's trouble, then they'll sing a song to straighten out the pattern. So isn't that beautiful?
The song looks like that.
Yeah.
They can read it. Everybody's got their own. Each one is individual, and that's the song. And they somehow, in that experience, can read that as if it were like musical notes that they could read and sing her Icaros.
I love that. Yeah. So out of the Peruvian ayahuasca tradition, a great painter who was doing landscapes until Luis Eduardo Luna, friend of Terence McKenna, asked him to make pictures of these experiences that he had had when he was a shaman. And so he started making amazing visionary art, which then inspired a whole tradition of visionary painters. Here we have the basics of visionary art. You've got the rainbow angels, there's an ascension from a lower world to a higher world, a relationship between beings on the physical plane, like here, and then negotiating with the spiritual domains. And so in all of these kind of paintings here in the kind of a heavenly world, or there's vessels or crafts that seem to float around. And you've got the intense dotting and things that come with, and the intense rainbow lights that come with kind of DMT, ayahuasca kind of art. And Anderson De Bernardi is one of the other gifted painters that came out of his school. He started a school in Peru of Amazonian painting, he and Luna. And so very nearby in Brazil, the Santo Daime and UDV Church have grown up. And and do you want to talk about the?
Well, I have a particular. I mean, well, I want you to just to know that the Santo Daime, they dress in uniform, and the women are on one side, the men on the other side, and they do a call and response like a kirtan, where the women and the men call back and forth to each other. They do that because they feel that there's a battery of energy, like we talk about Kundalini or Chi or Wilhelm Reich called it the cosmic superimposition, or whatever the life energy is. They send it back and forth, and they do the two-step. So they go side together, side together, side together, side together, and the women wear tiaras, and it's an amazing, it's a very I don't know. Well,
it's a tight ceremony.
Catholic. It's a tight ceremony.
But it's really
very
beautiful.
Christian. And it's in Portuguese. They sing in Portuguese, and
and they're songs that come right out of the. Basically, a rubber tapper took some ayahuasca, and saw a lady of the forest, and which he interpreted as Mary, and So Mary spoke to him and connected him with this sacred give me. That's what the Santo Daime means. So give me the sacred. And there you go. It's spread all over the world. It's spread all over the world. And helped to spread the medicine, the green Jesus or green Mary. And
This is a very different structure, but it's a structure about of the way they take the ayahuascan community together. They all sit in recliners and have a silent experience for, 5 hours. It goes from like 8 to midnight, 4 hours, 8 to midnight. The clock is on the wall. And then the music swells, but mostly during the experience it's completely silent except for the sound of people crying or laughing or puking.
Now, this was a church, the first ayahuasca church to become legal in Brazil in the 60s. Mestre Gabriel, who's there portrayed in the green, under the green arch.
And they wear uniforms, too, green and yellow and white.
Now, they were very well organized. They started this church thing, and they very wisely connected in with the Christian church there in Brazil, which is very strong, and a lot of doctors and lawyers and folks like that. So not as blue collar as Santo Daime, I guess, and in that way they were able to financially, create this great structure, which has been growing and spreading throughout actually the world. We have UDV churches throughout the U.S. now. You don't hear a lot about them. So early great psychedelic art in American psychedelic art from 1904. Mescaline does it again, and we see the kind of a crystalline headdress and these jewels along the chakras, what it seems like, and a peyote deer, and the spiritual ascent, all these symbols of ascent in heaven. The Native American churches, was finally granted the right permanently to have access to their peyote. Only in 1993, they'd been wanting to take that right away from them, and the Religious Freedom Restoration Act actually, from 93, an act of Congress allowed the Native Americans to have their sacred peyote. Now, art tradition has come out of that, and you see the American psychedelic culture. See the dotting again is very very frequent, and the rainbow colors and things. We've got a different mescaline native tradition in the Huichol. Do you want?
Well, the Huichol are Mexican, and they eat peyote buttons and embroider incredibly. And the women make the costumes for the men. We've met a group of people where they were, they were really trying to save their culture by selling their art, And so you see a lot more yarn painting and beadwork sculpture than ever before, and even at Disney World. At Epcot Center, they had the Huichol were represented in their craft. I think that was, the pinnacle. And they weren't Mickey Mouse either. It was the real thing. I thought that was
exactly
nice.
Their own patterning, which is quite distinctive, and always weaving in animal forms and the mescaline and things like that, but filled with just abstract
beauty. This is the peyote
beauty.
Button. This is what you see it whenever you see that. That's what it's that
hexagonal green thing. Yeah. And so then you've got the yarn painting also that comes out of the same Huichol tradition.
They lay beeswax on wood, and then they take the yarn and they press it into the beeswax. We have a really beautiful one at Cosm, and Alex and I have a few, because you can purchase these for very reasonable art in your home and support a culture. I mean, they want to continue being the culture that they are. And so they have all kinds of symbols.
Yeah, should learn about them more. Now, Manuel Torres is a world's expert and Florida resident. I don't know whether he's here tonight, but Manny Torres could talk better about the snuff trays here. But so, Manuel, what was the culture that used the snuff trays here in America?